Google's newest flagship, the Pixel 10 Pro XL, up against Apple's newest flagship, the iPhone 17 Pro Max, in its very orange color. So which of these two phones deserves your attention? Well, hopefully I'll answer that in this video. And if you're a fan of no BS tech reviews, I always just say it how it is, then definitely consider subscribing. Let's kick things off with the camera. Now, the main camera on the Pixel is 50 megapixels compared to the iPhone's 48 megapixels. In reality, the quality difference is noticeable, but it's not simply because of the sensor. You should know that when taking photos at 1x, the iPhone does default to 24 megapixels compared to 12 on the Pixel. So almost always, the iPhone will look slightly more detailed. But from what I'm seeing, the HDR, colors, and details look great on both phones, honestly. The ultra-wide camera on the iPhone did get upgraded to 48 megapixels, which matches that of the Pixel. The iPhone's ultra-wide sensor is a bit larger, which does allow it to bring in more light, which also means more detail. Now, this isn't a huge deal, but it is something to keep in mind. Moving on to the telephoto camera, now I do prefer the HDR on the iPhone, but I also do prefer the background separation in certain scenarios on the Pixel, like in this photo, for example. I mean, oh my god, Pixel nailed it. But of course, you know, with some of those crazy long zoom ranges, the Pixel wins again here, no doubt, because of its Gen AI. Some say it's fair, others say it's not. What do you guys think? The selfie camera on the Pixel is seriously really good and among my favorites, but I gotta admit, this new selfie camera on the iPhone is really good as well. What do you guys think of the quality? Let me know down below in the comments. And I think for the first time ever, I'm adding a new category to camera, and that is comfort, because using a camera should be comfortable. And here's where the iPhone square selfie camera does exactly that. Now imagine you're out with your group of friends and you want to take a landscape selfie to fit everyone into frame. Well, with any other phone, what do? Well, you put your phone to landscape mode, right? And then you go ahead and you take a selfie. Now, doing this, your arm is obviously going to be in the way. It's going to be taking up most of the shot, right? And my face looks good because I was talking mid-sentence. But also what you're noticing is that a lot of people, they're not going to be looking at the camera when you're taking a selfie. They're going to be looking at them in the viewfinder, which means that the end result, no one's actual eyes are looking at the camera. But again, since the iPhone 17 Pro Max is using a square sensor, you can just take landscape selfies while holding the phone vertically. Best of all, you won't have to have your arm taking up half the photo. And yes, this works with video as well. Speaking of video, the iPhone wins, but this isn't really a surprise. iPhone wins video every year. It's Apple's strong suit, and it continues to the 17 Pro Max. It can record 4K 60 HDR video with no problem, whereas the Pixel 10 Pro XL can't unless you, of course, step down to 4K 30. The iPhone can also record 4K 120 for slow motion 4K videos, and the Pixel 10 Pro XL shoots 1080p slow motion. But when it comes to selfie video, I think the Pixel actually does a much better job, especially with HDR. I don't know why the iPhone keeps having HDR problems on their selfie video at 4K 60. This is so weird. I notice this every single year. When you put your iPhone to 4K 30 and you're recording video on the front camera, not the rear camera, those are fine, but the front camera, you get much better HDR in 4K 30. If you switch it over to 4K 60, which that video was, you could see in the background that the whole sky was just completely blown out, whereas on the Pixel, 4K 60 video had no problem. So it's weird. With the rear cameras, it's fine, but with the selfie camera, you want to use 4K 30 if you want the best HDR for the iPhone. Now, there is one thing to know is that Pixel does have a feature called Video Boost, which, once you've done your video recording, it's going to be sent off into Google servers on the cloud, and then it's going to be processed, and I've seen this process take around as much as 6 hours personally. So then what you get back is, an 8K, pretty much like upscaled video. The shadows are going to be brought back to life. It's going to look much better than the original video that the phone took. Here's where people think it's fair because it's Google's, hardware using Google software, so why not? Others say it's not fair because, well, it's not really the phone putting in the work. So I don't know. What side of the fence do you guys stay on? Now, the A19 Pro versus the Tensor G5. This honestly isn't even a comparison. The A19 Pro smacks the absolute cake from Pixel's mouth. However, before you iPhone fans start partying a little too early, you should know something. Yeah, the A19 Pro is so much better, so much faster than the Tensor G5, but what about the features? Because a phone can be very powerful, very good, but if the features aren't there, then what are you doing with that extra power? You know what I mean? Here's where Pixel not only destroys the iPhone, okay, here's where Pixel obliterates the iPhone. Pixel's AI suite is just absolutely massive. I mean, you can edit a photo by just telling the AI what you want it to do. You can ask Gemini for certain information that's in your Gmail and it'll find it. You can also do multi-step natural language prompts to Gemini. So, for example, you can say, hey, find what time the concert starts in July and send it to my friend Bob. You know, I've said this before in my earlier reviews of the Pixel 10 Pro XL, and I don't think Google is trying to make this phone the fastest phone in the world. What I think they're trying to do is they're trying to make this phone the smartest and most helpful phone in the world, and it's doing a damn good job at it. Like it or not, AI is kind of like going to be the differentiating factor of how well a product is, and especially how helpful that product is. And it's not really a secret. That's kind of partly why this phone has 16 gigabytes of RAM compared to Apple's 12 gigabytes of RAM, which also was upgraded. So both of these phones do have more RAM than their counterparts. So they did that because the more RAM you have, the more local AI you can run, the more powerful that AI is. So yeah, Google is kind of thinking in the long term, and I like that. But in normal day-to-day use, AI aside, both of these phones run just fine. You're not going to get any hiccups, any crashes, any bugs. I mean, I think we're way past that. So what about the comfort? How comfortable are these phones to hold? Well, this is obviously going to be very subjective, but I do prefer the iPhone here. I just feel like the matte aluminum is a little bit more grippy than the polished aluminum. And honestly, I just don't really even like the polished look because, if my camera can focus, it just looks bad with all the fingerprints compared to Apple's, which obviously doesn't show any fingerprints whatsoever. So I do like the actual look of the new kind of redesigned iPhone, but I also, as you guys know, I've said this before many times, I really like the way this looks too. But if I had to pick for looks, I am going with the new iPhone. It just looks incredible. Yeah, this orange may not be for everyone, but in terms of the actual design of the phone, it is a really, really solid phone. Both phones have incredible displays, but for the first time ever, Apple did add something I thought they never would, an anti-reflective display. No, it's not as good as the S25 Ultra, but it is better than the Pixel, because the Pixel doesn't have any coating on it. The more you know. However, on the flip side, the Pixel does go slightly brighter, 3300 nits versus 3000 nits on the iPhone. So what about overheating? How hot do these phones get? iPhones and Pixel phones were always notorious for the screens dimming the second you go outside. That issue was mainly solved on the Pixel 9 series, and it continues here. I can definitely confirm my Pixel 10 and even my Pixel 9, they outlasted the Pixel 8 and earlier by a lot when it comes to how fast the screens dim outside. However, the iPhone has also upgraded a lot. I mean, oh boy, it is a night and day difference. Switching over to that aluminum unibody, yeah, it's not going to be the best for scratches. We'll talk about that. But it's so good for heat dissipation, and you also get a brand new vapor chamber in the phone, which also helps keeps it cool. In fact, this phone outlasted the Pixel 10 Pro XL outside. This phone, or actually, I'm sorry, the Pixel dimmed its screen first way sooner than it did the iPhone. I also have it, I actually captured this on video. The iPhone also outlasted the S25 Ultra. That phone also dimmed first. So for all you iPhone guys and gals out there that were just tired of their screens dimming the second the sun touches it, this is going to be a solid upgrade. Battery life and charging. I'm actually very happy with both, and I do want to say, Google, thank you for putting in MagSafe magnets into the Pixel. It's seriously such a nice quality of life improvement. But not only does it add convenience, because this also gets upgraded to Qi 2.2 wireless charging, just like the iPhone 17 series. Qi 2.2, meaning both of these phones can now wirelessly charge at up to 25 watts. Compared to, for example, the S25 Ultra, which charges up to 15 watts. Wired charging is slightly faster on the Pixel, 45 watts compared to 35 on the iPhone. However, I have seen it as high as 37. I might have broken the matrix, not sure. But what all that really means is that it's tough to really take into account like the actual wattage in, and how fast it charges the phone, because there's a lot of things to also take into account, battery size, the charging curve, optimizations, whatever. All you guys need to know is that you can charge both of these phones from 0 to 50% in around 20-25 minutes. So kind of like your standard nowadays. Well, I mean, standard in the US. I mean, overseas in China and Europe, we have phones that charge fully in like 15 minutes nowadays. I'm jealous of you guys. Battery life is super impressive on both these phones, but it is slightly more impressive on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I mean, this is easily a day-and-a-half long phone. Both of these phones, and by the way, I'm so happy we actually moved away from the all-day battery life, because what does that really mean, Both of these phones, I'm happy to say, go way over a day. I mean, both of these phones are easily a day-and-a-half long phones, depending on how you use it. I don't play games on my phone, so if you do, your phone's gonna drain a lot faster, as you already know. In my experience, the iPhone might last around 45 minutes to an hour more, but at that point, we're already into the 8 hours of screen on time, so that's already like, that's too good, you know what I mean? Like, that's so good to the point where I think nobody should be really worried about daily driving any of these phones. I mean, honestly, I don't even know any phone that will outlast both of these phones by so much that someone actually goes out and buys that phone. So if battery life is your concern, don't worry. These two phones are monsters. Material 3 versus iOS 26. I don't even know what to say here, really. I do like the redesign of Material 3 slightly more because of how subtle it is, and it kind of plays it safe but nice at the same time. It tries to find a design that most people will like. But on iOS 26, I mean, I don't know, many people are not liking this liquid glass look, as it can sometimes be a bit distracting and look a little too flashy. I don't know, what do you guys think? Each OS has its own pros and cons, and there really is not a winner here, because it's just two different tools if you want to look at it that way. Like, for example, you can't say a Jeep is better than a Lamborghini because the Jeep can go off-road. Like, yeah, but that's kind of like what it's built to do, All in all, the iPhone improved at basically every downside it used to have, and so did the Pixel. I mean, both of these phones are like brothers. I mean, they are both incredible. And if I had to pick my favorite, I think I would have to choose the 17 Pro Max. I mean, it has crazy good video with HDR, even at 4K 60, the ability to shoot in ProRes, the slightly longer battery life, the anti-reflective display, and a consistent camera system. It's just something I can't live without. So which of these two phones do you guys prefer? Let me know down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed today's video, definitely leave that like, and if you're new here and you like no BS tech reviews, definitely subscribe. As always, this was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.